Everybody, how's everything going? Week 5, DB5. I'm talking about indiscrimination. First of all, growing up in the South of the United States, as a African American or black male, you deal with discrimination all the time. I grew up in Tallahassee, Florida, where you have a lot of different national and educational things. So the discrimination and things I dealt with was more overt and hidden. But when recently, a couple of years ago, when I started teaching in rural South Georgia, I dealt with a lot of discriminatory things. Two of the ones that were highlighted is from Gerchek, some of the ones that I guess would classify would be the unwelcome and the unconscious bias. I still the unwelcome first. It felt like as I wasn't from the area, so it seemed like I was isolated from many other things and people in the culture. With the subconscious bias or the unconscious bias, one of the things I would deal with was many times students would question my credibility more, or they would do things like wear Confederate flags or say crazy stuff. Some of the students that were here. And so how I fought that was, and also it didn't help that I was responsible, me and my club were responsible for putting on the first ever Black History program in the school's history. And so I dealt with things because of that. One of the things I did was communication and really talking to people, finding out what it was. With the unwelcome thing, I realized, hey, I was just an outsider, and I started to really learn people and talk and get outside of my shell. And some of that stuff, some people still just were who they were, but it helped with a lot of the feelings that I had, because I know sometimes I could be ultra sensitive to those things, so I have to make sure I don't do that. As far as the other things, like I would communicate with the people who did those things. Like if you wore a Confederate thing, I would explain, especially to the students. Now, there was no staff doing it, but to the students, hey, when you wear that, this is what it means, and this is why it makes people feel this way. Before I would ever just go crazy or get upset, I would explain, because I still have to educate children. But with communication, I think that a lot of discrimination and biases can be overturned, especially with the unconscious type. Some people just going to be at the core what they are, but many times if they're trying to be a decent person and you talk to them and deal with them as a human and not just get angry, many times some of the problems that you thought you had would dissipate. So that's how I dealt with it and continue to deal with it. Be blessed until next week.